So what is the sign that Allah has accepted my tawbah? So the Mashaykh have said that the sign that Allah accepts the tawbah is that when Allah accepts your tawbah, then Allah Ta'ala does not make you go back into that sin. He protects you from that sin. If He has protected you from the sin, that's a sign that Allah has accepted your tawbah. So once I met this businessman in Karachi, and he told me his own story. He said, I used to drink. I used to drink alcohol, and I used to love alcohol. I had a love affair with the alcohol. This is what he used to say. I used to love alcohol. This was my most favorite hobby. I would drink every day. Day and night I would drink and I would think about drinking. This was what I used to do. This was my most favorite thing in my life. And he used to say that my family was a very pious family actually. We used to go for Umrah twice a year, thrice a year actually. But my affair with this alcohol was just enormous. And he would say that sometimes we would come back from Umrah, from visiting the Kaaba. We would come back, and sometimes the flight would be a non-Islamic flight, I could say, a European flight or some other country's flight. And they would serve alcohol on the plane. After coming back from Umrah, while on flight, I would still be wanting that somehow I be able to drink alcohol on the flight. So this is how much I used to love drinking alcohol. And then twice or thrice, a few times in my life, I have actually repented that I should not commit this sin. But this repentance has not done anything to me, has not stopped me from having this alcohol. I used to have enormous amounts of alcohol. So once the whole family again planned a trip for Umrah to Makkah and Medina Munawwara. And the morning that we were about to leave to go for this trip, that night I spent the whole night drinking with my friends. The whole night. I drank the whole night. And early hours of the morning I returned back home completely drunk. And when my wife looked at me, she was so angry and she was so upset that this morning we will all be going in the house of Allah, and this night he has spent drinking. So she told me that you are the worst person in this world. These were the words. She said, you are the worst person in this world because you'll be visiting the house of Allah in the morning, and that night you spent the whole night drinking. And he said that I was so drunk at that time and I was so upset at my wife. So I scolded her and I said, shut up. You have nothing to do in my affairs. Just keep to your own affairs. And I said these things and I actually stopped her. So she stopped. She said nothing. She kept quiet. And he said that this alcohol which was in my body had not even come out of my body, and I was wearing the ihram. And I left. And although I stopped my wife from saying words, but in my own heart I was thinking that yes, I am the worst person in this world. I am the biggest sinner. How can I do this? That in the morning I'll be going in the house of Allah, and the whole night I drank like a drunk. I drank like anything. So I had this guilt in my heart. But I was not showing this to anyone because I didn't want to show it to anyone. But when we completed the Umrah and all the family members went back to the hotel room, I stayed back and I went to the door of the Kaaba. And I went there and I made this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, oh Allah, and these are the exact words that He told me. He said that, oh Allah, I have not come here to say that I will not commit this sin again. Because I have done this many, many times. I've told you many times that I will not commit this sin. So I'm not going to say this again to you that because I might commit this sin again. This is how much I am affected by this alcohol. This is how much I I cannot control my desires. So I am not going to tell you, O Allah, that I will stop drinking, but O Allah, if you have decided for me that you will make me stop drinking, then I will make myself available to you. So he said this in such a way, this was his tawbah, this was his guilt in the heart, and this was his promise of not doing this again. Allah Ta'ala accepted this tawbah. And the person says that it has been now 17 years and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has saved me from this sin for 17 years now. So the sign that the tawbah is accepted by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is that Allah Ta'ala saves you, protects you from committing this sin again.